Hello there, this is Chris from MTG Artisan's Corner, and here's an Artisan deck I created around the signature draft card Soaring Thought Thief from the set Zendikar Rising. I built Artisan decks because this is kind of my jam, and it's something I wanted to share with you. Now, for those who don't know, Artisan is the official term for playing with commons and uncommons, but no rares and no mythics. It's very much like Pauper, just with a little bit of more wiggle room, as we get to play with most of the cards we actually get from a booster. This actually allows us to flesh out some strategies a bit more, and that's what gives the deck eventually the proper identity. So yeah, Soaring Thought Thief is the signature black-blue draft card from Zendikar Rising. It's mainly for the rogues deck in that set. You draft around rogues. The rogues have a sub-theme of milling cards, like you can read here, of course. And what makes this thing a popular card, or what made it a popular card, was the fact that it has flash, flying, and whenever a rogue attacks, you get to mill 2 cards. That does add up quite a bit over the course of the game. So yeah, that's what the deck was intended to do, so that's what we're going to build it around. The first rogue in the deck is the Merfolk Windrobber. This thing itself has flying as well, so it's not that hard. It's not that difficult to block. It only mills 1 card when it deals damage, but therefore you can actually sacrifice this thing and draw an extra card as long as the opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard. It's pretty much as simple as that. I did not put Zulaport Duelist in the deck because this is just simply an upgrade. You can visit my link in the description. I've put a little deck description on EtherHub for this deck. And I basically say there that the Zulaport is underwhelming and there's just no more room otherwise. Ruin Crab is also a creature that brings out emotions from players. I'm one of those players that playing against it feels horrible and I hate it. Playing with this crab, it's like, it's fun. It's really a love-hate relationship in that way, if you want to put it that way. Milling 3 cards for each land drop is a lot. Everybody who faced down 2 or 3 of these things will know how many cards will get lost just by a land drop. And it's uncommon for a reason. So, yep, it's in the deck for the mill. This is the only card in the deck that actually can mill out opponents eventually. The sub-theme mill is, in my eyes, secondary. So I went for a tempo-oriented play with the mill sub-theme, and I've had the most success with that sub-theme as a secondary place. However, I will have games where I mill out the opponent with 2 of these crabs, and it works. It actually really works well. 3 doesn't look like much, but it adds up real fast. The last rogue in the deck is Nimana Skydancer. I must admit the rogues I've been seeing in the set right now, or in standard right now, are really underwhelming, especially in commons and uncommon slot. But this one adds up, or lines up really well, because it's a 3 mana, which we can play after the Thought Thief. It has flash as well, so we can keep that theme up, and when it enters, it mills 2 cards, which is why it's in the deck. If we get to attack with it, that's fine, but it's also very defensive in my eyes. I've been using it defensively. If that's the right choice, I don't know. That's something you have to figure out yourself while playing this deck. But I tended to go for the Thought Thief strategy first, tempo and attacking, but then of course removal happens, and then I had to redirect my gameplay to the more controlling route with reacting instead of proactive gameplay, and it actually served me in both strategies. So yeah, that's why this is in the deck. That's 16 creatures. I find that on the lower end, but it does work out. I also will admit that I really have no idea what creature number 17 through 20 should actually be in this deck without losing the integrity of the tempo game plan. Yeah. I'll just go over the rest of the deck really quickly because there's not much to say. I mean, we have Disdainful Stroke, counters a target spell value 4 or greater. That's in there for best of 1 plays. Negate counters non-creature spells. Same thing, in there for best of 1 plays. If you want to play best of 2 with this deck, put those 2 in the sideboard and flesh out a little bit of more what you got in the deck already. Test of Talents is a weird card, but I like it nonetheless, even though it's very restrictive. If you counter a sorcery or an instant, you actually get to pluck out all the other remaining copies from the deck, from your opponent's deck, and that kind of is mill. So you counter 1 card for the other card, and then you get like up to 3 cards for free, which comes down to 1 trigger of a Ruin Crab. So sure, why not? I thought, okay, let's see how it works, and I was pretty happy with it. Sod Coming is, yeah, as simple as that, counters target spell. There's only 2 of them in the deck because of the mana cost. If you have a keen eye, you'll see that we only have 12 blue sources, including the tapped stars, which means we're going to foretell this most of the time. But countering a spell is pretty fine. Infernal Grasp is just the best removal at 2 mana in black, so that's why it's in there. The 2 life will come in a little bit painful, but it's still necessary. And Poison of the Cup is just Infernal Grasp number 5 and number 6. Same thing with Sod Coming. Double black pips is a bit hefty, but so we're going to foretell it most of the time. Glacial Grasp is a perfect tempo card for this deck. You'll see in the gameplay that I managed to eke out a win with this card more often than not. And the fact that it taps something, doesn't untap, and somebody mills 2 cards, and we draw a card is pretty cool. Behold the Multiverse is just a simple plain old scry 2, draw 2. This deck sometimes gets hellbent, and top decking is really not the position you want to be in. So if at all that comes to play, just draw a few cards and see where the game goes. So yeah, and foretell obviously for turn 2 play. Yeah, Evolving Wilds, as in the land base, are 3 of them in there for the Ruin Crab. Obviously, if the Ruin Crab was not in the deck and you want to play with the Zulaport, what's his face? Zulaport Duelist, then take out the Evolving Wilds and put in a few more islands. And for the last we have the Rebirth. These 2 cards, Jawari Disruption and the Rebirth, are mainly in there to get the land count high without losing too much tempo. So Jawari counters a target spell if opponent doesn't pay 1, which will happen sometimes, but it's mostly in there to trigger a Ruin Crab. Same thing with the Rebirth. If you got a board wipe and you actually have a black mana open for the Rebirth, do that instead and get out a creature back. That is useful for the strategy. Otherwise, just play this as a land, get your double black maybe, or get the first black land card on the playing field just to get the mana flowing. So yeah, pretty short this time around. There's not much to say. Black-blue rogues in mill have made quite the ride when Zendikar was the most busted set in the format. And yeah, this is just a powered down version based on what this card does. And yeah, it was fun to play. I definitely felt the opponent sometimes not willing or not being able to play against such a deck, as I've been in that position myself. I am not the biggest fan of this deck, but I do understand if people like this kind of strategies, and power to you. So if you like this deck, go do it, go play it, go build it. The next time around, Artisan format comes up. Yeah, that's it. I'll be showing a few examples of this deck and how it can work, what to look for while playing this deck, and because this deck is made for kitchen table magic or the Artisan, events that happen in Magic Arena. I won't be showing you any losses, as yeah, it's kitchen table Magic, not competitive play. So don't expect any close games or losses in that manner. Yep. Have fun, enjoy the videos, and see you next time. Here we go, showcase number 1. I'm gonna try this a little bit different. I've recorded this game without any commentary, without any sound, and I wanted to voice over this game, and I would like to hear from you if this is more enjoyable than just actual footage of me playing in real time, or if you would actually prefer to have these voiceovers over the recording that I have. So yeah, here we go. I started out with this hand. I kept it as far as I remember, because I had a Ruin Crab on turn 1 and an Evolving Wilds on turn 2. So that's basically what I went for, just to get the mill theme going. This is a rather slow hand, so that's why I chose to keep it and play like this with Evolving Wilds. I got a second blue for the swamp in my hand, or because I have a swamp in the hand, and I wasn't too worried about Poison of a Cup. Yeah, same thing always, just kept on going with the mill. I was lucky to mill out a lot of big creatures, and at that point I was keeping up Glacial Grasp, in fact, that in the case that he would activate Ranger class. I did this now because he's only at 1 mana, and I wanted to tempo out a little bit just to get the mill ongoing. And that top deck Ruin Crab was actually pretty good, so here's the reason why I said in the deck tag, just play the Malakir Rebirth as a land for this kind of case, right? So you get some double triggers off of Ruin Crab, and this game is shaping up to be a mill game rather than a tempo game. And I kept 2 mana up for this exact reason. I wanted to use Test of Talents in order to get any kind of removal out, because I know I was not going to win by attacking. I was drawing my rogues way too late, so I was really concerned about keeping the Ruin Crabs on the field. And Test of Talents is a perfect card for that kind of reason, as it takes out yeah, basically all that removal that was actually there. So because of Test of Talents, I was able to look at his hand, and I was seeing that he was playing Temur Dragons, and I wasn't sure how to go at this point of the game. I really did not know if he was going to draw a second red source, if he was able to play that 5 mana dragon there. So I just opted to take the damage and play the Thought Thief and just keep on going with the mill, I think. Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to keep on going with the mill. So foretell that, maybe? No, let me think. Attack for the mill. And I did not do anything, yep, because of the Glacial Grasp. I was keeping up the Glacial Grasp for the big dragon and the Skydancer in case I wanted to be the blocking, because this is the part where I was turning into the control deck and not the tempo deck anymore. So as soon as he put the counter on Magda, I was willing to sacrifice the Nimana Skydancer just to keep the damage output under control. He wasn't able to attack anymore with the dragon. I don't think he would have been discarding his hand with the Goldspan dragon in tow. So that's what I went for, just to keep the damage down. Nimana already did its job. It entered, it blocked, it milled 2 cards, and that's what it's there for. Yep. So he did not draw, as I remember, because he wanted to play that. And I think that was actually pretty clutch for me, because that gave me less cards to worry about, so I could keep on going with the Ruin Crab. So I was gonna kill the Moonveil Regent because I didn't want him to draw 3 cards on an empty hand. That was really, really clutch that he didn't refill his hand. Same thing here. I wanted the land drop so I can keep on triggering with Ruin Crab, because that's my win con right now. Ruin Crab was my game plan until I lost. So I kept on milling. I was still at okay life totals, but every card counts, so that's what I was going for, and keeping up Glacial Grasp. If he was gonna play a red source with Jaspera and Magda, I would be able to tap it down and he wouldn't do much anymore. So he actually went for the damage and I did not want to block, so I'm going to take 6 here. And I was surprised to see him play that actually. Nonetheless, dragon comes out. I tap it down just to... He's empty-handed, so I really don't care about the treasure right now. And that Goldspan cannot attack me. It also cannot block. And drawing that swamp was also pretty amazing. So I want to pause this for a second and underline the fact that I drew a second Thought Thief. If you actually get into a position like this, play the Thought Thief even though it doesn't have flash, because it will see itself. 2 Thought Thieves will trigger off each other, and you'll see it right now. So I was happy about the land. One of the very rare cases I'm actually happy to draw a land. He's at 7 cards now. Foretell that. And then Thought Thief. I was reading the card actually, just to make sure I was right. So I decided to play it so that they see each other when the Thought Thief attacks. And after this it was just block and survive, because if he would not deal with my Soaring Thought Thief, he would be done, because he was at 3 cards. He drew that Goldspan. That was his card number 2 left in the deck. And all I had to do was survive. Just not take 6 and the game was mine. So that's exactly what I did. I blocked the 5/5. Yeah, I drew a card first just to make sure what I was getting. I did not like either. Not sure what I was actually thinking of. I only had to attack with the tapped Thought Thief next turn. So yeah, block that. Just not take 6, so I had to block twice. So I was taking 4. Yeah. And he was at 2 cards. So yeah, I was correct. Yep. And that's pretty much the game. So last 2 cards. Very lucky while milling. I really hit a lot of his power while milling. And pretty happy over that. So this is one way the deck can go. And yeah. Just to recap very quickly, I found very early in the game that I was not drawing any of my rogues, so I had to go the control route. And drawing the second Ruin Crab was clutch. And I made it my goal to protect the Ruin Crab. And removal with the Test of Talents was kind of key. And that gave me enough time and enough crabs to actually mill him out. So yeah, Pretty impressed with that round, I must admit. Here we are at showcase number 2. I started this hand out with a mono blue hand, that's why I kept it. This game I wanted to showcase because it turned out to be completely different than the first game, decision wise, even though in the end it looks kind of the same when you look at the board state. But yeah, let's just go ahead. I played the Merfolk Wind Robber because it's just basically our best turn 1 play, and it starts the mill. And it's a creature I'm not too sad about losing, so that's just, yeah, turn 1, fine as it can be. I was praying to the magic gods that I would get a black land eventually, but having 2 blue mana open plus an extra Duwari Disruption was fine by my standards. There we go. I drew the black land, fortunately, and I was keeping 3 mana open, just to whatever would happen. I just wasn't exactly sure what they were going to go for. You can't really be at this stage, but I just wanted to be sure. So now I'm at double Test of Talents and double Jawari, which is pretty fine. And here I Test of Talented his card draw, because card draw is what wrecks our deck here. So that's what I went for. And I was able to mill 2 cards, so that worked out pretty fine. Card draw disrupts the plan of this deck. So if you get the chance, take it away. Not much to say here. I had tapped land, just a black open, so opponent was able to do whatever he wanted to do. I was kind of getting uneasy at this point of the game because I was not drawing into any proper counter spells. So I went for Foretell the Behold. So if something would be actually counterable, I would do that. If not, I would just draw some more cards. That's why that's actually in the deck. Now, I think opponent was playing very, very careful. He was not willing to run out his expensive stuff, which actually turns out to be a favor in my case, because he would actually have the 1 extra mana. So I just end step, draw 2 cards, found a Ruin Crab and a land, so that's what I went for. Now, I knew the removal spell up there in opponent's hand would just not be important. I needed to counter his Lolth and or his green-black enchantment up there. So if opponent would kill it, so be it. I have 3 more crabs to end out the game. That's what I thought. I let it through. Removal is not what's gonna end the game for me. I really need to take care of the Lolth, and I got super lucky. Opponent was really, really scared to run out anything into my counter spells, which again worked absolutely in my favor. But I don't blame him. If I were in his position, I would probably not. I would probably test the waters somehow, but not with the main spell. And that was a sigh of relief. Getting the Disdainful Stroke was that card that I was looking for to get rid of the Lolth. So I was kind of laying back at that moment. I was pretty happy. I was at land enough, so just killing a Faceless Haven, getting rid of more lands from the opponent was decent. I stopped at the end step just to get some more Glacial Grasps going. I had the mana. I was willing to get the cards flowing. I was milling at the same time. And yeah, my first creature, except for the Ruin Crab. And drawing those 2 after each other was pretty cool, I found. So everything is instant speed. I passed my turn, waiting for the Lolth to come down. I had Test of Talents up for removal, so I was willing to keep that open as well. I'm at 4 mana, so my entire hand is fine. And here it comes. This is what I was waiting for, to get rid of that thing. I'm not sure what he did now. I think he passed. No, I went for a Test of Talents. Yeah, that's more removal spell now that I just felt like doing. There's no real reason, but I felt like keeping the Thought Thief on the playing field would help with the second Thought Thief. There's an argument to be made here that cracking that fetch land was wrong. I could have waited for a crab. The important thing was to play the Thought Thief so that they trigger off each other. So if he would remove it now, I wouldn't mind. I'd still be milling. So that was fine by me. And that was also fine. That wasn't going to do anything. Another Glacial helps with the mill, helps with the tempo, but not something amazing right now. So yeah, I was basically top decking because the opponent had mana enough. Jawari Disruption wasn't going to do anything. Glacial Grasp was basically there to deal with anything that could block, just like the tokens. So that's what I went for, praying that I would get a removal spell. But I got a second flyer, so I just snap reacted so I can actually kill the Lolth. That was also pretty amazing to draw that one. And there was a Rune Crab. So now creatures were flowing. I was able to put some pressure on. I was at decent life totals. My life points were not pressured by the opponents. And this is the point where I should have just played Jawari, because that's a dead card now. So just play it, get the Ruin Crab trigger. That's a second mistake, because it would have been 6 cards now, down to 10. So yeah, in hindsight, cracking that Evolve in the Wilds just to thin out the deck was actually a mistake here, because we had the time. So yeah, play it again. Third Thought Thief of the game. Nice triggers, a little bit of damage. And I hope I play the Jawari as a land now, just to get those lands, the cards flowing. Maybe I was holding on to that card to signal opponent that I was still holding something back. That's maybe the case. But that's a fringe, I think. Yeah, and drawing the third land in a row was not cool. So yeah, there you have it. Opponent drew his third land in a row. I was able to mill out, luckily again, I suppose, because I was hitting Planeswalkers, I was hitting board wipes, I was hitting the Esika. And yeah, countering Lolth off of the Disdainful Stroke was a pretty cool top deck that I drew into. And Binding Gods, as I show here, was irrelevant after that. So one key counterspell can win the game. I think it boiled pretty much down to that. And maybe the fact that opponent drew 3 lands in a row, even with sacrificing a clue on top of that. I think he would have had more room. If he would sacrifice another clue to draw, he would still have a lot of mana. So I think it was a bit prematurely, but yeah, a win is a win. So take away from this game that countering a key powerful spell can actually win the game. So yeah, see you round 3. Here we are, showcase number 3. Yeah, let's just head right into it. I had a Ruin Crab and a second land, which was already reason enough to keep it, and opponent was going first. And then I had actually a change of mind. He played green, so I was going for the Merfolk Wind Robber in my mind, but the fact that we drew a second Ruin Crab was what swapped me back to the initial game plan. So 2 crabs out, 6 cards down, few more to go, and the Merfolk Wind Robber. So my creatures were lining up pretty good. To say the least, I was surprised that opponent didn't do anything on turn 2. I was really expecting mono green Stompy to come out of the gates swinging. So I kept on playing with the same intentions after he didn't. And yeah, this is basically the mill right now. So now we're in don't take damage territory. But we're missing out on removal, so I wasn't quite sure what we're going to do, because I was really scared of hexproof instance. And the fact that he tapped out there just gave me a snap reaction for the Glacial Grasp, because he wasn't going to attack anymore. He wasn't going to untap with it anymore. I'm still only drawing blue cards, so no removal like whatsoever. So mill on, I'd say. Keep on going. And here I was not sure if I should counter that with Test of Talents. Because the only known card is the green card up there. And I wasn't sure if he's going to play more. I was on 4 mana, so Test of Talents and a Disdainful Stroke, just in case. So he wanted to go back. Right now, let me pause. He wanted to go get 3 cards back with Turn the Earth, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was at this point with the old growth troll and Turn the Earth. I was thinking about green-black deck that was missing colors. So if he was actually willing to get those cards back, I would actually counter it. Now, I think I've used Test of Talents because I wasn't sure if he was going to have more of those. But I think I should have used Saw It Coming instead. Because Disdainful Stroke is now a dead card. So the 2 mana wouldn't have mattered anyways. So I quickly went over his hand and his deck to find out that he was playing mono green big stuff. Still, no black card, no removal, no Soaring Thought Thief, the card that this deck is built around. So I was, yeah, yep, again, Jawari Ruins for the land triggers twice now, kept it on flowing. I was keeping up Disdainful Stroke in case he would play a land. Because Glacial Grab is no good. He has a Snakeskin Veil up there, so my only idea was Disdainful Stroke or Saw It Coming. Finally found the 3rd land. I just wanted to preserve life totals as quick as possible. He was stuck on lands, so I just kept on countering. And praying he wouldn't find removal. Like the fight spell. The 1 green sorcery that says indestructible. So kind of flooding a bit, but on the other hand fine with the Ruin Crab. And the game plan is still the same. Now I was having mana for both cards, so I wasn't worried at that point anymore either. Yep, couldn't do anything about that. And I think he was going for another attack. Yep. Down to 10. I wasn't willing to block anything. Worried about the snake skin still. And I think he's going for, yeah. So I took the chance and I glacial grasped the 5/5. Yep. I wasn't sure, but I read the powers in my mind. So 5/5 tap down. And I drew into a saw it coming. So third game in a row where I'm top decking like a god. More lands is okay for the Ruin Crab. Again, the only moment where I'm actually happy to draw lands when the 2 crabs are out. But I'm kind of at the mercy right now, and I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. It's twice. Okay. Yeah. So even though I'm playing that deck, I didn't realize how fast those cards were melting up there. So even after rewatching this and commentating on this, I did not realize how fast 2 Ruin Crabs can go. So yeah, that was it. This is very similar to game 1, but there's a distinctive difference to this one. And I think it's worth mentioning. Let's go back. To the point where, yeah, I think it's about mid-game. The crucial moment here was, unfortunately, that my opponent was stuck on lands. However, I think that was also due to the fact that I was milling all of his lands all the time. Like, he was drawing into action, like really powerful cards that I would not be able to deal with very easily. I was not drawing any black cards, so it was basically mono blue with the wrong lands. And keeping damage off was the key. So biggest differences, I would say, was not staying alive, but rather being lucky this time around, I think. I have 22 decks in the land, right? So drawing into my 6th land, into my 7th land, I would already consider flooding. And enjoying the fact that he didn't have removal. I think that's what basically won the game. I was flooding, yes. I was not drawing my black cards, yes. On top of that, no removal and 2 crabs. So yeah, so even after rewatching this game, I was still not mentally prepared for the deck already being done. So yeah, this is faster mill according to the first game, and yeah. I couldn't find a proper tempo deck. I showed you 2 mill and a rather fun second game. I wasn't able to record a proper blue-black tempo game as I would like to. I hope you still have enjoyed the videos. And yeah, stay tuned. I'll be building more and more and more. I still have a few more cards from the Zendikar Rising set to go. And that's what you can expect. And again, please let me know if this was more enjoyable than the actual real-time playing commentary, as I'm not sure what is actually easier to listen to and to watch to. So yeah, take care. See you in the next video.